Hello. So this is going to be a video in lieu of, excuse me, a conference this year, obviously due to COVID, which has been on all of our minds. Um, what I'm going to do here is just kind of walk you through some things I feel like you need to know and will be helpful for you as a parent moving forward. And then I guess the basic expectation is that if you do have any serious questions or concerns that can't really be addressed in an email, there will be a Google form attached for you to fill out. And in that Google form, you can request a time, and hopefully, we will be able to possibly get you on a Zoom conference, or if we must an in-person type of conference. But my hope and plan is that this video is all that you will need, and that this will take care of an in-person conference. So welcome. And in okay, in this first part, this is just basically the things I'm going to go over. The Writer's Notebook, which is an integral part of our course. The Google Classroom, which I'm sure you've heard of, and what it looks like. And then our textbook is called StudySync, and our language program is called MobyMax. And then I just want to talk a little bit about homework and late work, which will be important for you to understand. Please make sure your students charge their Chromebooks every night. Cords are hard to come by in the building, as are electrical outlets. And it's just really a disruption when kids are having to move around the room, find a plug-in, especially towards the end of the day, when the Chromebooks, if charged appropriately at night, should last for the entire class scheduled day, school day. Okay, so the Writer's Notebook, it is basically in-class activities that practice and mirror what we're doing in both the reading and the writing aspects of the course. And so it's very important for students to get that extra practice. And basically, what you need to know is that it is graded. And so the expectation is that the student is participating and fully engaged. It is also important that if students are missing school, they're looking in the presentation of the notebook and making sure that they are doing each and every slide. And I'm going to show you actually what that looks like so you have know exactly what I'm talking about. So here is the notebook. And this was actually the slide that we did today, and today is the 28th of September. So usually I start each section with some engaging videos and information that they need to know moving forward. And then I'm going backwards here, so I'm going to move through it pretty quickly. This is the notebook, and they have access to this in their Google Classroom. This year, the only issue is that I don't date the slides because of block scheduling. So in the past, each slide would have the date that we did it. So kids are going to have to kind of be more aware of that and know that basically if they come to class and we're on this slide and they move back and they don't see that they've done the work for these previous slides, that's a problem, and they need to go back and do the makeup work. And what happens is I only allow the slides that we've done to be visible. So if students, they don't move forward and get confused, which was a problem if the slides weren't dated. So they move, as they open the presentation, they can see that that's where we're at. Also, their notebook should look like this, organized, top to bottom, left to right, front to back, and not a lot of blank pages as we're trying to conserve paper. I've gone over all this with them extensively in class, so they should be good as far as understanding that. And it's already been graded. You should see that in PowerSchool moving forward. So that's the notebook. The next item, Google Classroom, and I'm going to show you what that looks like as well. Please email me if you want to get weekly updates. There is a section where I can put your email in and you can then receive updates on what is going on in your child's classroom, and I know that's been beneficial. I did that in the past when my kids were going to school in middle school. I'm going to show you the student portal and then kind of show you what it looks like, and that hopefully will take care of any questions that you have. So moving over here. This is what it looks like from the student's perspective. So they get a stream, which I typically don't use very often. I use it for announcements only. So when they were announced that they need to join a link, I give it that through the stream. But what's important on this page is this box that says upcoming. So you'll see when assignments are due. You'll see things that are coming up in the next few days. And you can also click on this and see anything that's missing, and a pretty accurate depiction of what the student has done so far. So one thing is that even though this is my fake student, even though this student has 100%, it's only based on one assignment that's been graded, and you'll see that there is a plethora of missing work, and that's not good. You can also see it as assigned, returned, and missing. And this is what the student can use, again, to manage their own classwork, as everything typically comes through Classroom. Okay. Classwork then is organized into how our course kind of is organized. So we've got Unit 1, which we're in right now, the Writer's Notebook. This unit was our introductory unit, so we're done with that. And then class materials that they may need throughout the year. And they can view their work here. Again, another access portal to their work. This will be important. You may want to check this if you have a student that sometimes has trouble with their time management and work completion, and see what's going on there. This is a good clue that maybe things aren't getting turned in and completed, and that could have a negative impact on their grade. The textbook, okay. The student has access to their textbook through Classroom. They can also get in there through Clever if that's more comfortable for them. They're just two different ways to get into things without knowing passwords, is basically what those things do for the student. What it looks like is this. And the big thing for you as a parent is the student has assignments and a binder. And what happens is assignments, when completed and submitted, move to the binder. So here, if your student's page starts to look like this, you'll see past due, past due, past due, past due. That's a clue maybe things aren't getting assigned. Things that are being assigned are not getting completed and turned in. The reason this is happening is this is a example account, but you'll see things assigned by me, you'll see when they are due, and you'll see that if they do not get turned in by the due date, they are then past due. The goal is for these assignments to get turned in and then end up in the binder. And the binder is just for students to have access to past assignments when they need them, for review on tests and quizzes, and any other reason we would need to pull something back out of the binder. So they have access to everything. It's actually really cool. Each week, most assignments should be out of their assignment queue. If you're seeing that excessive amount, then there's a problem with what's happening in class, and the student needs to do their work. MobyMax is our language program, and basically I require 30 minutes a week, and class time is given for that if the student is using it productively and is present. It mirrors what we're doing in our writing and our reading, and so everything kind of goes together. What it looks like is this, and so when I assign lessons, they show up in the assignment tab. Students have they take a pretest, and then things that they're struggling in, they also have assignments that will be assigned to them. Those assignments only show up when they do all the assigned work. But so when they go into their language app, which it's probably not going to let me in here. When they go in, they will see their lessons. And so they have remedial lessons, I guess you could say, and then assigned lessons. This is eighth grade material. This is material that may be filling in their gaps from previous years that they've forgotten or that they haven't mastered. And that's pretty important. So there's always something for them to do in that account if they finish these lessons. And again, the expectation is 30 minutes a week, which I do grade on time. Are they putting in the time? And if they're absent, they need to make that up and they need to see me and show me that they've made up that time. Homework is usually just classwork that isn't finished in the daily class period. So those assignments that are assigned during a given class period, I expect them to be done the next time we meet. This is, kids have an advantage with the block scheduling because they do get technically 2 evenings to get that work done before they return to class. But there is no win this year, so there's no extra time during the day. Students who choose not to complete that work, they will receive zeros. And again, this is kind of where what I see in class needs to reflect what's happening with their progress. If they're choosing to waste class time when I give them that time and then they don't do it at home and then they come back and typically, let's see, around grading time, when the grades are about to go home, there's a frenzy to get all this work done. That's just not a feasible way for students to approach their schoolwork. So we need to stop that. If that's a habit they have, it needs to end this year. And that kind of brings me to my late work policy. One of the toughest lessons I've seen students have to learn when moving from middle school to high school is that time management and consequences for not doing work. And there's a difference between choosing not to do the work and not being able to do the work. And I have very few students that are not able to do the work. I do have a number of students who struggle with their choice to do the work. So what happens in high school is then all of a sudden they don't have those habits and they're losing credit and graduation becomes a problem, being on track for graduation. This is the year for them to stop that. So I am not going to be accepting late work. That's not to say late work and makeup work are the same thing. They're not. If you're missing class, you get an opportunity to do the work. If you're sitting in class, you're not doing the work, you're not taking it home, then you want to all of a sudden do it a week before your grade goes home. That's really not a good use of time for anybody. So we need to stop that habit. And hopefully most students will learn that sooner than later. Same thing with redos. Generally, I do not allow redos or corrections for daily work because that opportunity is built into the lesson itself. And that allows students who are engaged and doing the work to receive credit for that. Students who want to do a redo, I find, are mostly trying to avoid the consequence of a choice they made when grading comes or when someone else is going to find out, i.e. you, the parent. And also if they made the choice not to study and then they're wanting to retake a test to study because they chose not to do it the first time. That's not going to be the case this year. So if that is their habit, that habit needs to be broken. There are rare cases where there are students who are struggling with a particular concept through just the fact that they're struggling. They've done all of the work in class. They've done all the practice. We've had the conversations. They study. They go to take the test and something happened. I am then open, if that is the case, to coming up with a solution to that issue. But I need to see evidence that that was the case. Final thoughts. Basically, email me questions or concerns that you may have. Due to scheduling, it may take me a little more time than it has in the past because I don't get a prep every day. And my before and after school time are also used for meetings, etc. And I may not have my hours in to answer emails. So it may take me some time to get to it, but I will get to it. Be sure to fill out the form. And due to COVID, again, we are limiting in-person and Zoom conferences to serious issues. If it's something you don't feel an email can give it justice, then we can set that up. All right. I will say so far so good. Things are going well. Students are working hard. We all seem to be getting used to some of these new rules and procedures, and hopefully we will be here for the entire school year and enjoy it also. Thank you for your time.